Welcome to this tutorial on searching with subjects in PsycINFO and more. In other videos, we've searched with using keywords that you've developed on your own, but in this case, we're going to look at using subject terms that were kind of created and curated by the database. So what are subject terms? They are a uniform list of topics developed by an organization or kind of an external body to help works be discovered in databases. So some examples of this are going to be the Library of Congress subject headings that are going to be used in university library catalogs, including at UM-Flint. Medical subject headings, which were developed by the National Library of Medicine and are heavily used in PubMed, but you may also see them in other databases as well. And then particularly for PsycINFO and more, the APA has created a thesaurus of psychological index terms, and those are the subject headings we are going to be looking at. And just as a quick reminder, PsycINFO and more is actually a collection of smaller databases. PsycINFO is the largest of these databases, but we add on the others just to make searching a little bit easier and broader. In PsycINFO and more's records for articles or books that are found, you'll see a couple different places for subjects. So depending on which database they're coming from, the subjects are kind of in different spots. In this case, they're both in front of the abstract, but in other records, again, they might be coming after the abstract. And in this case, we see that there are both subjects that are assigned by the psychological database, but there are also these mesh subject headings there. So we're going to be mostly concerned with the subjects that are assigned by these databases. Now, if you click on one of these subjects, it will actually create a search just based on that subject. And you could go ahead and add in additional terminology and do a search this way. So this is one way that you can add subjects into your search. You could also, on a search results page here, use the filter for either subject major heading or subject itself, and this will pull back results as well. But if you wanted to start fresh with a brand new search using subject headings, that is also possible. On this advanced search screen below the search boxes, you'll see that there's a couple of different options here, including one for subjects. And here we can either search for a particular term within that psychological index terms, and we'll also see some that are beginning to be listed out. So we see, starting with A, abandonment, abdomen. Anything that has a little plus sign next to it means that there are additional kind of relevant terms within it. And so you can see some narrower terms under ability. So ability grouping, ability level, competence, computer skills, and you can actually kind of follow this down a little bit. Every time you click on a term like this, you should see basically kind of a definition and the year that it was introduced by the APA to this curated list. You also see broader terms, so terms that kind of include the term that you're looking at, as well as narrower terms, so terms that are kind of included in this broader term that we're looking at. You also see related terms. So there's a lot of relationships between these different subject terms that kind of add this extra layer of organization onto the articles and books that are being indexed and curated by these databases. So if you wanted to scroll through and do all this, you could. But in this case, I'm actually going to search for particular terms. So I'm looking for treatment, and I will see that I have an exact match at treatment, but there are, again, other suggested terms. So physical treatment methods, treatment refusal, treatment barriers, symptoms-based treatment, all sorts of things that are kind of coming through here. All right. So again, if I click on one of these terms, I'm seeing that definition, I'm seeing what it's used for. So instead of using the term therapy, it's suggested that we use the term treatment. Year was introduced, again, those narrower terms that are included under this umbrella term of treatment, as well as, and you'll see there's quite a few, as well as some related terms. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add in behavior therapy here and a couple of other options that I'm looking at here. We'll go movement therapy, and let's do physical treatment methods, psychotherapy, why not? You know, kind of throw these all together. And then I'm going to go up to the top of the middle of the page here, and I'm going to click add to search. Now, the Boolean is available here. So if I click and, it's going to include all of these terms with an and combination. But in this case, I'm looking at similar terms. So I want the or, so that I'm looking for intervention or behavior therapy or movement therapy or psychotherapy, so on, right? So I'm expanding what I want to look at. And again, treatment and is a very large term, so I'm going to add in an additional term for a symptom or a particular option that I'm looking at. So I've chosen major depression, and if I wanted to, I could include explode. And what explode is going to do is it is going to include all of the narrower terms that are underneath this. So it'll look at not only analytic depression, but late life depression, postpartum, reactive, recurrent, all of these things. So if I am looking at a very broad range of depression and affective disorders, maybe I want to include this. But if I'm really not, I'm not going to click the explode here. Just for the sake of the tutorial, I am going to click explode to kind of show you what happens, and it includes all of these options that are here. And if I want to, again, click add to search, again, with an explode, I definitely want to use that or section, and it's going to add it into a new field here. Okay. So once I click search, my results screen looks exactly the same as any other thing. I can use the filters that I'd like, so peer review, publication date, stuff that's come in the past 5 years again, just to kind of narrow this down a little bit. I'm still getting a lot of things, but you'll notice that everything that is coming back has the subjects kind of highlighted as to what this is going, and it should be a much better match to what I'm looking for. If you have any questions about using subjects to search within PsycINFO and more, please ask a librarian. And thank you for watching.